welcome to another FOMO episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Catherine Weigel. I am still one of your hosts after all these years.
Wow.
I have lost about 145 pounds, and with me today is...
Donald Weigel, and all I want to do is sing Still Hosting after all these years.
Yeah.
Which is not something anyone wants to hear.
No.
Hello.
Hello.
Hopefully what you do want to hear is that I have lost about 100 pounds.
Congrats.
And we have maintained it now for, I don't know, it feels like
I don't even
40,
know.
50 years.
The details
it's really,
are...
I actually don't even remember. Is it 4 years now?
I don't know.
Something like that.
You know, it used to... I know people who are just maybe starting something out or like, it's my 45-day anniversary.
Yeah.
I've been with the whatever. And at this point, the fact checkers are not going to be happy with us.
Or like
because we don't
when
remember...
you're a teenager and you have like monthly anniversaries.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Or-
it's our every 15th of the
Or when
month.
you're a kid and I'm like, I'm 5 3/4 in 2 days.
Right.
And at this point, we don't even know, which is maybe a good thing. I kind of forget how many years we've been married. I forget how many years we've had our daughter. The math just doesn't
to,
really
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really work out. But
But what we do know
yes.
is
What do we know, Donald?
that the holiday season is coming.
The reign of gravy is upon us.
Didn't know what sort of rain you were going to discuss.
And okay, we're going to talk about the holidays, specifically Thanksgiving in America. But we were making notes for this episode yesterday, and I was thinking about how we might be excluding all of our dear international listeners.
Yeah.
We have people in Taiwan. We have people in Australia and New Zealand, Brazil. Hello, Rodrigo. And England, many, many countries around the world.
Hello!
And I was thinking, why would they even listen to this episode? They're lucky. I don't know if you know this, listeners internationally. You're lucky because you don't have to worry about Thanksgiving. If it weren't for Thanksgiving, everyone in America could lose weight.
Yeah.
But this is our burden to carry.
It's the only thing stopping people from losing weight.
But I do that.
One celebration based around food.
Must be nice to not have to worry about Thanksgiving dinner. And I honestly thought to myself for a second, like, boy, it would be sure easier if we didn't have to worry about that. But here we are. This is our burden to carry.
Yeah.
And whatever holiday you celebrate around the world,
I
you've
don't know.
got your own
Don't they have a
holidays.
Thanksgiving equivalent around the world or not? Is it just like, I don't know. I'm an ignorant American. I apologize, international listeners. I don't know.
Canada has Thanksgiving in October.
Yeah.
But
that's
I don't
just
know.
weird.
If you have a holiday that you would like us to feature on this very podcast, let us know. We only look thin.
Yeah, but
at gmail.com.
Typically here in America, USA, right around early-ish November, people start looking ahead to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a holiday for those who might not know.
Well, here's the thing.
Based around eating a lot of food all day with very little guilt involved.
Yeah, but I think the thing, what I thought you were going to say, and I shouldn't do predictive text on your words, is like they start thinking about stopping all moderation.
Yeah, no, that's what I was
doing.
going to. Yeah, no, I was about to get there. Yeah, so it's based around food, and then like in early November, the holiday is at the very end of November, usually, and people start like, okay, I'm just gonna like give up now and eat all the food I want for the rest of the year because there's one day of Christmas, there's one day of Thanksgiving, and there's one day of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and I'm just gonna like wait till after all that's over.
So much thinking, so much thinking. But I think the thing with that is that people, and I don't do meal planning, I don't do much meal prepping. I think as Americans, we can serve all prep, all thinking for that holiday.
Right.
Like I have no idea what I'm going to eat for the next 2 weeks.
Right.
But I am fantasizing about the food that I'm going to eat on Thanksgiving.
When Catherine says she does no meal planning and meal prepping, like we typically eat around 7:30. I'll ask her at like 7:15 what she's having for dinner because we don't eat the same dinner. And she's like, I don't know. And then she goes out in the kitchen and figures it out. I like on the weekend, I like plan out what I'm having like each day for the week. It's
fancy
very,
myself,
very different strategies.
See, here's the thing. I fancy myself a continental European. I imagine that I have a farmer's market, a little marché right downstairs. Their church bells are chiming. I just run down. I get whatever is fresh in market.
Yeah.
And I just sort of, that's what I imagine in my head that I am. What I am is a person who has very little decision-making abilities. And I kind of open the refrigerator based on my emotions in the moment.
Yeah.
What could I force myself to microwave? What could I do? So I'm not a big planner.
But suddenly, during the Thanksgiving season, everyone is like, in November 1st, I have to start testing out my pies.
Oh my gosh.
I have to start testing out my mashed potato recipe, and people are able to plan like weeks in advance for this one meal.
But people do that with like weddings too. The whole like, oh, we have to do a taste of cake.
Yeah,
we must taste all the cakes. It's like, I know what cake tastes like.
Cake is basically cake.
I know what. You know what? Actually, we had molten chocolate cake for our wedding.
Yeah.
We didn't cut a cake. We just ate a cake. We didn't have time to cut anything.
Yeah, no. Those aren't the people we were.
If you had a wedding cake, Donald, what would it be?
Oh my God, I have no idea.
See,
I don't know what different cakes are. What in our history together makes I just eat cake. Whatever cake is in front of me, I'll eat it.
You wouldn't eat carrot cake.
Okay.
Carrot cake is
vegetables don't belong in cake.
Says the vegetarian. Okay, we digress, but that's our American right to digress. So here we go. We're going to start the episode now. November is in the dictionary.
Oh my God.
Okay. But okay, seriously, here we go. So America and around the world, this is a different year than most years because I feel like, sorry, I'm going to stop. Okay, I'm going to stop. Okay, I'm thinking of like the Passover Seder, which is kind of funny. Why is this a special day?
Yeah.
Sorry, hooray for Passover. So, in November, we are thinking about the holidays, but this is a different holiday because many of us have been in quarantine for the last year and a half.
Yes.
Many of us skipped over holiday traditions last year and are sort of coming out of our cocoon of safer at home. The world is opening back up. We might have some fear of missing out to catch up on, some fear of YOLO that we're catching up on.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of like, I didn't get to do this last year, so I'm going to double up or triple up
right.
or quadruple up this year. I didn't get any pumpkin pie last year, so I'm eating 4 of them this year.
Right, and that whole like YOLO, like, wow, not having it last year really reminded me that I need to eat all of the pie this year.
There's some FOMO and some YOLO and some yo-yos.
Sure. But we're trying to also reintegrate into society. What is it to see human people again? We are going to see some human people today that we haven't seen in 2 years.
Yeah, I can tell you it's like freaking me out.
Yeah, it's freaking us out. It's outside, safer outside with masks on. But it's weird to think about seeing people again instead of just liking their posts on Facebook, which is what I've become accustomed to.
Exactly.
But this is the perfect time of the year, with all the jokes from before, to really think about starting up new traditions and letting go and rethinking of things that didn't work in the past. And before we dig into Thanksgiving, Donald is going to talk about other digging. And here, organically, Donald goes into talking about digging.
Organically, with no preamble or setup,
I'm really good
I talk about digging. It was very professional toss over to me. I like to remind people, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that when it is early November, mid-November, and you're already, kind of giving up, you might not see it as giving up. If you're already saying to yourself, I'm going to get back on track next year, I want you to ask yourself a couple of things. One is, if you were in a pit, in a hole, would you spend...
A Thanksgiving pit.
Yes, exactly. Not the Peach Pit from whatever that show was. But if you're in a hole or in a pit that you have to get out of, would you spend the next couple of months digging that pit deeper before you climb out of it? Or would you start now trying to climb out of it? And what has waiting until next year gotten you in the past? Like, how has that worked out for you? I think that we have this idea that we will magically wake up on January 1st or 2nd and suddenly just be new people who are reinvigorated and ready to take on this challenge when you really need to start right now. I know people don't want to hear that, but that is how this works.
Well, and the thing is, we're just going to be older in 2 months. We're going to be older.
Yeah.
I don't know why we think that wiseness, is that a word? Wisdom. Yes. There we go.
Wiseness. No, wiseness.
Why we think we're going to be imbued with new magical elder powers in 2022. That's not going to happen. We become the people we're going to be by doing the things that person does. We have said it before. But again, I mean, I think, going back to what Donald was saying, digging ourselves deeper is not an exit strategy. That just digs us deeper. And so we have the opportunity to embrace the holidays, let go of things that aren't serving us. And quite frankly, I'm calling everybody out. I think sometimes we want to overstress ourselves, so we have the excuse to eat about it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm taking everybody to task. So this episode, we are going to dive into some strategies and some mindset ideas to get you going for the holiday season. Now, we can give you as many tips and tricks and pows and tows in the whole world, but honestly, until we actually start rethinking the way we manage stress, nothing's going to change. You go like, well, I tried. Catherine Donald said to only have a small plate. That didn't work. Okay, well, good. What are you going to do about it? Like, so you come to the table with some ideas. How about that?
Whoa. You start your own podcast and we'll listen to that and then we'll see how that works out.
Wow. This is classic Catherine.
I don't know why you're attacking our audience, but here we are.
I do like the good cop, bad cop thing.
But you're both.
But I'm both. And I come off all nice and then I'm like, I'm taking you to task.
Yes, indeed.
So we're going to turkey trot into the next segment, which is thinking about thoughts about the holiday.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so I know we've talked about it before, but the Lazy Genius podcast talks a lot about deciding what matters, starting there with anything you're facing, really deciding what matters to you, because so many years I fell into a trap of trying to accommodate everyone else, being stressed out, doing the most complicated things for the simplest issues. And honestly, I just said this. You might recall from 2 minutes ago when I said it was just an excuse to stress and eat and be overwhelmed and be upset. And we have an opportunity to actually embrace the season instead of just being like, boy, I sure do wish that it was January already because this is a waking nightmare.
Yeah, I wanted to have an excuse. I wanted to have things that I could turn to as an excuse to just eat whatever I wanted because I didn't want to take responsibility for what I was doing. I wanted to blame it on all these external factors.
Yeah, it was actually funny. We were re-listening to an episode that we just did where I talked about eating cookie dough for my daughter's class. And Donald and I were listening back to it for editing. And our daughter came in the room and was like, wait, what did you do? Wait, you ate my cookies from second grade class? It's like, oh,
so
oops.
upset about it.
But I was like, I didn't tell you that I ate all the cookies.
Yeah, she's a sophomore in high school, by the way, now, and all upset about second grade cookies.
She thought it was really funny, though. She's like, you're a garbage person. I'm like, yeah, well, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Okay, so we have a few questions for you. I don't know, I'm clearing my throat. It's fine. But first, as we approach the holiday season, really think back to what gives you energy at this time of year. Is it the crisp fall days? Or in the Southern Hemisphere, warm fall days?
Yeah.
Is it fall there? I don't even know. But really think about what gives you energy. Lean into the things that actually bring you joy. Is it, going to a pumpkin patch of some sort, holiday tree decorating thing, listening to the sounds of the season? What actually do you enjoy about it? The family stuff, football? Think about it. What brings you energy?
I think it's actually spring in the Southern Hemisphere.
Sure.
Okay.
And the second thing is what actually drains your energy at this time of the year. We only have so much energy to spread around. And when we lean into the things that deplete us, that might be an area to focus on doing less of. What can you delegate? What can you get rid of? What can you make easier? We can be proactive in designing our holiday. The third is what foods or what traditions actually make you feel like you've really enjoyed the holiday. A few years ago, we were eating dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, and I felt kind of sad and empty and lost. And it turned out at the end, we forgot to put the cranberry sauce out.
Oh my God, that's so terrible.
I was like, something is missing.
This is clearly indicative of people who have eating disorders when like you feel sad and terrible and lost because the cranberry sauce wasn't on the table.
Well, anyway, there's a whole anyway, it doesn't matter. But the not having the cranberry sauce actually was an issue for me. And so guess what I did the next day? I doubled down, double portion, double the cranberry sauce. I got 2 days for the price of one. And where did that get you? It got me 145 pounds heavier than I am right now. So, but really think about the things that really matter at this time of year. And then again, what things are mindless wastes of time? What crudité platters or cheese and cracker things are like, it's fine, but it just kind of fills me up? What really does matter at this time of year? So make those decisions. Okay, so now we are going to go into a round robin style of things to think about Thanksgiving week, holiday week, whatever you're celebrating. Just some strategies to think about for your own self.
Yeah, hopefully this leads you to some practical solutions to how to attack the season.
Okay, so again, this is kind of a repeat of the last one, but ask your family what their favorite must-haves are. That can be for traditions and that can be for food as well. Sometimes we lather on more things that we don't even need just because we think somebody likes it. Really ask people what matters to them.
Yeah, and what can you pass on? What are kind of the high calorie, maybe like your green bean casseroles or something that like, you're like, oh, well, I don't actually have to have that this year, that you can pass on. Just stick to the things that really make Thanksgiving to you.
Exactly. And then what can you prep ahead for the things that do matter? If you're stressed out, because I am really good at this, on like Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, being like, we got to make 7 pie crusts and I got to do the whatever. What can you make ahead? What can you put in the freezer? How can you make it easy to have a good time instead of angry stress baking?
And what pre-made things can you substitute? What could you maybe either make ahead of time, or what could you buy from the store that's already made to reduce your stress and reduce the, amount of sort of excuses that you will have to stress out and stress eat?
Well, exactly. I mean, I know like Whole Foods sells little tiny individual pumpkin pilots that might be not a pilot, but a pie, tiny pie, not a pilot.
Pumpkin pilot. I imagine it like behind the wheel of a plane.
It's like Snoopy.
Yeah.
But the Red Baron. But what things are like, what? I love making pie, but this is not the year to do it. I'm going to get the little individual ones. The good thing about Whole Foods, tip of the week, is that they actually have little calories on there. So buying a few little tiny pies instead of a giant pie, that can save hours of time and stress in the kitchen.
For sure.
What activity can you enjoy, either by yourself or as a family? I know for us, I was listening to our Holidays on Ice episode from 2 years ago, where I talk about how much I enjoyed going on a brisk morning walk with Donald Weigel Jr.
Oh, that's me!
That's him.
Oh, I enjoy walking with him too.
But there were only one set of footsteps when it was just you.
Because you were carrying
Because
me.
you were you.
Because I was by myself.
But is a fun run, a turkey trot, some sort of walk in the forest, check out some leaves. What things actually bring you joy that you can build into your activity? I know before it was just, I'm going to sit for 5 days. That didn't go well for me. So now we really enjoy getting in a little bit of activity.
And maybe decide what sort of a craft could you do? Like, can you make a holiday craft? Could you, would you have fun doing the old fashioned, turkeys drawn around your hands? Would you, if you've got kids around, or if you don't have kids around, could you build a puzzle? Could you play a game?
Yeah.
Like
instead
of the holiday tradition of baking, do something that is a activity. Even, get one of those gingerbread house kits and put them together, because you don't want to eat those things.
Oh my gosh, we have a picture of our daughter eating a 2-week-old gingerbread house. She took one bite. The look on her face of disgust and dismay is magical.
It's one of my all-time favorite photos. She was so excited about eating this
Hansel and Gretel
jank Disneyland, this jank house, that gingerbread house that had been sitting out, and was so upset at how bad it tasted.
Magical memories. But really, as people with disordered eating habits, maybe baking tons of cookies for 2 months is not really the thing to do. And I know we can think like, oh, well, the kids rely on they love that. What they love is just the act of friendship and fellowship. Sure, they like the candy. Sure, they like to eat the whatever. But really, as people who have the opportunity to manage their issues with weight, thinking about a craft outside of food-based crafts is a big game changer.
Absolutely.
Okay, and this is a really big one because Donald and I used to do this all the time. When we would make Thanksgiving dinner, even if it was just the two of us, we would make 5 pounds of potatoes and 95 rolls and everything because we just wanted to eat Thanksgiving forever and ever and ever. The question to ask your family is, what end date can you put on the Thanksgiving indulgences? We used to go literally a week after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we would intentionally make enough food to have leftovers for days and days.
So we could actually enjoy it because Thanksgiving is so stressful. So we want to really enjoy it.
So maybe this year, plan on not making leftovers. Set a date with your family and say, look, we're gonna eat on Thanksgiving. We're gonna have maybe some leftovers the next day. But make a promise to yourself that you're either going to give away or throw away the leftover food. And I know people hate that, but if you make a promise to yourself that you're going to throw away the food, you're going to do your best to make just enough to get you through whatever that allotted amount of time is, which hopefully is just the one day.
Well, and here's the thing. Having one, Thanksgiving is never the issue. It's the bookends around it. The bookends of November 1st through January 1st. That's kind of the hard part. But having an end date, hey guys, we are going to enjoy Thanksgiving. Friday's cool. We're going to eat whatever. And then Saturday, we're going to get back on track. Having an end date before you start matters. Because if you're just like, oh, I didn't know we were going to have 95 pies. This is a very big surprise to me. Just be okay with starting fresh on the Saturday. Decide the day that you're going to get back into your normal habits and routines. Because this is where we slip into exhaustion from eating garbage food for days. When I eat garbage food for a week, it makes me feel like I'm sick and tired, and then I want more comfort food to make myself feel better. So I think we're going to do Friday as our maybe not even, maybe just Thanksgiving for us. We're just going to have it be one and done.
Yeah, I think just a day is the plan.
We'll see.
And I think
we
even talked about not even doing anything super big for the day.
Yeah, we're kind of going to keep it quiet this year.
Yeah, we're like the Scrooges of Thanksgiving. But what can you do the week of? And the week of Thanksgiving, the first thing to do is stick to your goals as much as possible. Now, I have made a promise to myself that I'm going to treat every day up until the Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, up to and including like a normal day. Stick to my calorie goals, stick to my step goal, and not treat this like it's some sort of, go crazy wild party Thanksgiving month.
Well, and two, I know we are not having a bunch of people come to stay with us. It's not going to be a big deal. But for me, sticking to that protein in the daytime, only sugar at night. I don't drink alcohol on random weekdays. It's just better for me if I stick to some goals and having those policies of I'm not going to just suddenly have, pastries every morning. I'm just going to stick to my protein. It really helps keep the week normal instead of becoming chaotic and making me exhausted. And part of that, too, is setting some minimums for yourself. You know what? We've got things going on, but I'm still going to hit my step goal. I'm still going to go for a morning walk. I'm still going to, like I said, stick to protein. Make sure that you have some minimums in place so that the week doesn't get away from you.
Yeah, and if you can't hit your usual goals, just because there's too much going on, you promise yourself you're going to do a minimum. If you ordinarily do some sort of a strength routine, do a reduced version of that. Do a few things to keep yourself in the game. If you ordinarily, eat, 1,500 calories, 1,700 calories in a day, and you can't stick to that, make it 1,800, 2,000.
Yeah, stick to maintenance. Actually keep tracking, because when we stop tracking, that's not a good look.
Also, lean into your support. if you've got people in your life, if you've got a group like WOLT Place in your life, like really rely on them, use them as your support to get through the time. Talk to trusted friends, trusted individuals, and it really does help to relate to people who know what you're going through and can help you get through it.
Right. And I mean, I think too, being in a position where we can tell people what our actual goals are. Like, I do that with Donald and our daughter. I'm like, hey, I really want to make sure I get in a walk each day. Hey, I'm not going, like, can you hang out in the kitchen with me while I prepare this so that I don't eat extra food? I know not everyone has that relationship with the people that they live with, but even for me, telling people in WOLT Place, like, hey, this is my intention for the day. Can someone check in on me? It really helps to know that other people are going through the same thing. But, you know, just knowing, hey, as people are coming to visit, I really want to focus on my morning walk each day. If you'd like to come with me, that's great. If not, I'm going to make that a priority and set those intentions, because when we don't tell people what we want or need, they just assume we're fine. And then when we sit with resentment saying like, oh gosh, I never got in my walk, just tell people what you want. It's not so bad.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I didn't realize when I started this. You know, I always think about, you know, losing weight and getting to your goal as just, if I just follow a plan, if I just like do these steps, if I just eat these foods, if I just do these exercises, I will get there. But one of the big parts of that we don't talk about is actually speaking up for ourselves and setting our boundaries and really telling people what we want and what we need, because people aren't mind readers. Like, you can't just expect them to know what you need and what you're going through. And then start with the end in mind.
What? It's over.
Yeah. Go into it thinking about the end. No, go into it with thinking about the end. Think about, you know, like we said earlier, set an end in mind. It's not a Thanksgiving month. It's not a Thanksgiving holiday 2 months. It's a day. And if you're going to make it 2 days, make it 2 days, but really set the end in mind when you start, and don't let it turn into a 6 week and 8 week and end up digging that hole deeper that I was talking about, that you're going to look back on January 2nd and be like, wow, why didn't I do at least a little something sooner than I am right now? Because I am in much deeper dirt hole than I was when I started 2 months ago. Yeah, dirt hole.
Well, but I think too, you know, as part of that, it's that like, what, you know, I think in a previous episode, I called it a vision quest. What would an actual like lovely holiday look like? Like, oh, wow, I can imagine us going on a morning walk on Thanksgiving or doing a turkey trot. I can imagine really enjoying the food and not being stressed out and not being like, you know, angry that I'm not getting what I want. Wow, I'm actually focusing on foods that I enjoy. I'm indulging, but I don't feel like a garbage person later. Amazing. Look, I just did a vision quest for you. It already happened.
Yeah, hopefully you weren't driving and didn't close your eyes during that.
Exactly. So, you know, as we're finishing this up, we've given you so many tips, so many tricks, so many mindset things to think about. But really, as we're going through this, and this is something that is kind of the cornerstone, kind of the building blocks of the way I look at my choices throughout the year and through the holidays. What are your holiday traditions getting you? What are they getting you? What are you getting out of the choices that you're making? Think about last year. If we are a victim to our choices, like that's a choice. We have the opportunity to really think about what they're getting us. And then the opposite of that is, what are your current traditions? What are your current mindsets? What are they costing you? Yeah. What is being a victim costing you? It is just kicking the can down the road when we keep saying, well, I'll defer it until January. Oh, well, you know, it's too much right now. I can't deal with it. We pay a high price for not advocating for ourselves during the holidays. And I think one of the greatest gifts that Donald and I have had are not fixing our holiday traditions. We're not talking about dieting through the holiday or, you know, abstaining from all of the things that you like. It's not the day that matters. It's what we do after the day that matters. Donald and I have reduced the intensity, the frequency, and the duration of all of our indulgences.
Indeed.
We still, you know, have days where we go off plan or things don't go as planned. But what we do is recover quickly. We don't just say, okay, well, you know what? When our kid graduates from high school in 2 years. Then it'll be the time to, to focus on it. Like Monday is the day that we focus on it. The day after is the day that we recover. And you have the opportunity to draw some lines in the sand. And like Donald said, not dig yourself into a deeper hole that is just harder to get out of.
Well, thank you so much for listening, everyone. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. And we are grateful for each and every one of you. And, we will help you get through this holiday season and beyond. We have many more episodes you can listen to. We have many other holiday episodes that you can go back to and check out. We can be found anywhere you found this podcast and also on our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, you can click on the link for Join Our Support Group. I am saying this right now. Do not wait until January to go, should I do this right now?
Yeah.
This is a great time for support, for accountability, for check-ins. We're doing multiple Zoom meetings a week, check-ins on secret eating and lots of other different things. We're doing lots of Zoom meetings on nighttime eating, secret eating, emotional eating, so many kinds of eating I didn't even know about. So join us in the group now. Don't wait until January. We have 2 options for subscriptions, a monthly option with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month option with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if WOLT Place is right for you.
Yeah, and one of the things that we talked about earlier was really lean into your support. If you are not fortunate enough to have support in your life, if there's nobody that you can really turn to about these things, WOLT Place can be a place where you can really find that support. This is a group full of women who are going through or have gone through exactly the same things that you are. They can relate to what you're dealing with and can really help you get through it too. But if you want to interact with us in other ways, you can also reach out to us at weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We answer questions. We love hearing from you about episode ideas. And we will get back to you eventually with all of that.
But if you're not in the emailing type, you can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at weonlylookthin.
Yeah, do that.
And if you have a couple of extra minutes and can head over to Apple Podcast, you can leave us a rating and a review. Wouldn't that be lovely? A holiday gift.
That would be great.
0 cost to you other than just a couple of minutes. We really appreciate any rating and review. Not only does it boost our mood, but it also helps other people find our podcast.
Absolutely. And another thing you could do, if none of that appeals to you, you could
that doesn't appeal to me.
You could please.
I don't care for it.
You could please tell someone about the show. Word of mouth is another great way you can get the word out, and it really helps us out. We appreciate it.
Yep. So if you're currently digging a hole and thinking of FOMOs and YOLOs
and yo-yos
just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.